The story for Pet Sematary is, can Stephen King scare even himself? Has the author of Carrie, The Shining, Cujo, and Christine ever conceived a story so horrifying that he was for a time unwilling to finish writing it? Yes, this is it. Set in a small town in Maine, to which a young doctor, Louis Creed, and his family have moved from Chicago, Pet Sematary begins with a visit to the graveyard in the woods where generations of children have buried their beloved pets. But behind the Pet Sematary, there is another burial ground, one that lures people to it with seductive promises and ungodly temptations. As the story unfolds, so does a nightmare of the supernatural, one so relentless you won't want at moments to continue reading, but will be unable to stop. You do it because it gets hold of you, says the nice old man with the secret. You make up reasons. They seem like good reasons, but mostly you do it because once you've been up there, it's your place, and you belong to it, up in the Pet Sematary and beyond. King will admit himself that he went too far with this novel, and I myself have to agree with him. Some events in this book seem like a line was crossed. What I like most about reading Stephen King is that no matter how absurd or gruesome the story or over the top, the characters and day-to-day lives are so mundane they are real. It allows a connectivity between a reader and the characters. I have never been married, and yet the relationship between Lewis and Rachel, from their arguments and love, seems so real to me that I feel like I'm either there in the house or peeking in from the window, or it just seems like something that, mom and dad, go through in their day-to-day lives. I don't know whether to classify this as a gothic story or not. It has some elements like a grungy old pet cemetery built by children and an ancient Micmac Native American burial ground that raises the dead. It certainly has elements of both horror and goth, but maybe it doesn't have enough to classify it as a gothic story. I'll say it has elements of the gothic to be safe. The goth and horror and subject matter and events gives this dark overtone throughout the book that it makes an impact on the reader. The book also gives possible answers to the questions of what would happen if you bring the dead back to life. Like, how would it be possible? What would it look like? Would the thing you brought back to life be the same thing or something else? And would you be able to take responsibility for the outcome? The book has some good scares and moments of suspense, especially at the climax of the story, where the pages just fly by as you read to see what will happen next. The following is a spoiler alert. The moments I feel King went too far, and he might feel the same too, is when a small child of 2 or 3 years old gets run over by a speeding truck. The child being dug up from his grave in a cemetery to be buried at the Micmac burial ground. The child raising from the dead, then killing people. Then the child is re-killed. Not only are these moments shocking, but the description and detail King puts into these events that makes it so memorable and real and horrifying that it almost makes you want to put the book down or throw it across the room into some corner where you won't dig it out from. But you don't, because you are thinking what the character is thinking too when the child dies. You want to know if he will bury the child in the burial ground and what will happen. Spoiler alert over. Overall, the book is a fantastic read, and I recommend it. As a fan of Stephen King, I was not disappointed. I give this book 5 stars out of 5. The book was adapted into a 1989 movie. It has received mixed reviews from both critics and viewers. However, the film, like the book, leaves a memorable impact that it has developed a cult following throughout the years. I'll admit it is not one of the best movies out there, but it is entertaining, has a great cast, good special effects and makeup. The makeup on Victor Pascal is so gruesome that the detail in there with the brain explodes and blood coming out and the decay of his body and the sound effects for the blood and brain that is exposed makes you almost vomit. It's just so good. As I said before, the film does leave an impact. It is so shocking and dark and gruesome that you can't help but talk about it and watch it over and over again throughout the years. It just goes to show that even though the movie itself may not be well made, whether it is the sometimes bad acting or the movie itself was not that well executed, that people can still enjoy it. I give this film 2.5 stars out of 5. If you have never read a Stephen King book or seen a movie based on his work, this may not be the one to start out with unless you are daring. My advice would be to read his other work and see the other movies based on his work to get to know his style and genre before you read or watch Pet Sematary. However, if you do watch and read this, don't say I didn't warn you. A remake is in the works, and I myself wouldn't mind seeing a remake. I love this film and book, but it would be interesting to see a new movie and to see how dark and gruesome it will become. Hopefully it will be an R-rated movie like this one is, but the way Hollywood is now, it will most likely be a PG-13 movie. Blah. I hate that. I hate the way they do that now. Until next time.